Do you have any idea why just try it is a very bad strategy for feeding children? The saddest part is that trying different foods is actually one of the key tools for building a well rounded diet for children. But sensitive children need a much more cautious approach. What can we do to help our picky eaters rather than creating terrible memories of a cooling down milk soup? My name is Monica Kuzminskaite. I am a health and nutrition psychologist, and this is my podcast, Spoonful of Reason. Eating involves many chemical processes in the brain. Taste and smell signals that stimulate specific nerves, the three-dimensional sensation of taste formed by texture, viscosity, and temperature, and visual and auditory information related to eating. The brain integrates all of this information in the primary brain regions that process taste, specifically the anterior insular cortex, and consolidates it in the orbitofrontal cortex. The main mechanism at work here is sensory-specific satiety. Repeated exposure to the same sensory profile, such as taste, texture, and appearance, reduces the hedonic value of food and the pleasure derived from it, regardless of the meal's nutritional value, which leads to habituation. If this mechanism is disrupted and the pleasure derived from eating does not diminish, then conditions favorable to overeating arise. This can happen, for example, due to stress when eating hyper-palatable foods, which are high-calorie and intensely flavored foods, or in cases of ADHD. If a sensory profile is associated with danger, which does not necessarily stem from food itself, then the limbic system triggers a stress response leading to avoidance of the food and potentially resulting in psychosomatic digestive disorders. Among us are people for whom the taste of any food seems more intense, either because they are more sensitive in a broader sense or because they have so-called super tongues, a significantly denser network of taste receptors on the tongue. Young children usually haven't yet learned to cope with such intense sensations, so any pressure or coercion to eat on top of that, or even taste food, will only increase their stress. This is more likely to be a harmful tactic than a way to expand child's dietary range. This is where sensory feeding therapy comes in. It is also important for sensitive adults who never learned to taste food safely while growing up and who may have eaten an unbalanced diet for years, harming their health. How does sensory feeding therapy work? It is based on the same desensitization principles used to treat various phobias. At first, the focus is simply on talking about food. The food is present in the same room, it is visible, and any anxiety that arises is soothed, depending on the child's age or adult's age, with a firm hug, soothing music, breathing, and grounding exercises. In later stages, the child plays with the food and touches it, for example, by placing food in a resealable bag so it can be squished without actually touching it. Next, the child sniffs and touches the food, draws with it, molds it, and finally the child smells it and tastes it. Have you heard parents saying to stop playing with food? This is precisely what sensitive children may do spontaneously so that food doesn't seem threatening to them. Each subsequent stage is only possible when there isn't an excessive anxiety. This harnesses the natural mechanism of habituation, reassociating the sensory stimulus of food not with a threatening experience, but with a calm state. The framework for sensory feeding therapy is called SOS, sequential oral sensory. Research findings show that this approach successfully helps reduce stress during meals and significantly broadens the range of foods consumed by individuals who are highly selective eaters. Researchers note that emphasizing the sensory properties of food taste, smell, texture, yields better results than focusing on its nutritional value or health benefits. It is also noted that manipulating texture to make food linger in the mouth longer, for example by adding crunchy bits of frying hardness, helps achieve better results. How can you apply these principles to your own diet or that of your children? First, create a gradual desensitization plan starting at a level that feels comfortable for the sensitive eater. Rushing and pressure will make the situation worse, and the pace of change should work for the sensitive eater, not for you. For each meal, pair dishes with different sensory profiles, with nutritious dishes featuring simple flavors and textures. These can include pureed vegetables, or grain porridges, or yogurt, or pureed soups, and so on. Something that's complex with something that's simple. Aim for texture that allows the food to stay in the mouth longer, whether because it requires more chewing, contains more fine particles, or for similar reasons, as this stimulates satiety signals in the brain at the right time and discourages overeating. Encourage the eater to focus on the pleasant sight, smell, taste, and texture, rather than on the fact that the food is nutritious or healthy, even if that is true. In this context, this information will not be helpful and will not reinforce the necessary skill. In our culture, too many people already believe that healthy food must necessarily taste bad. Eat or feed others in a non-stimulating environment. Provide soft music, dim light, a little of other sense and sights, or more broadly, exercise more control over other stressors. That's all for this week. My name is Monica Kuzminskaite. I am health and nutrition psychologist. I help to deal with simple and complicated issues regarding emotions, thinking, and behaviors. I write, I give lectures, and I provide psychological counseling. You will find the link to register for a counseling session in the comment of each post, and you will find my posts also including links to scientific articles and book recommendations and social media, searching either for my name or for keyword spoonful of reason. Drop me a message if you have any comments or questions, and wishing all of you peace.